It's crazy to think that 1 year ago, I changed the state of my channel and decided to make content on RetroAchievements after doing Let's Plays for almost 1.5 years. And even though a part of me should have started this YouTube channel with RetroAchievements, since Let's Plays are a dead art at this point, at the end, this was the best decision I've ever made for the channel, since with RetroAchievements, I can talk more extensively about some of my favorite games, and also have a more relaxed and fun experience instead of playing a game and recording it and editing it before a deadline, or making videos for the sake of having something on my channel, which is something I did with Taz Wanted after doing the Crash 1 RetroAchievements video. And considering that my first mastery was with Crash Bandicoot, which was the game that got me into RetroAchievements, I figured that since I already mastered the Crash Trilogy on PlayStation 1, it would be very fitting to master the other PlayStation 1 platforming Mascot and tackle the Spyro PlayStation Trilogy in what will be our very first RetroAchievements Mastery Marathon. As for the next 3 videos, we'll master all 3 Spyro games for the PlayStation 1. Starting with Spyro the Dragon, which we can master it by getting all 65 achievements, which is possible thanks to the RetroAchievements website, which allows you to get achievements from your favorite retro games, from the NES to the Nintendo Wii with everything in between. And as usual, we will be getting these achievements in hardcore mode, which is the only way to master these games. And for this video, we're also going to be mastering the Japanese version of Spyro 1, which has a set of its own. And that is because the Japanese version of Spyro 1 is somewhat different from the American version. But we'll talk about it once we cover the main set. Which, comparing it to Crash 1's set, for instance, Spyro's set is more involved, as we have a bunch of challenge achievements for certain stages, making it a more rewarding mastery experience. Even though if I had to choose, I would replay Crash 1 at a heartbeat, since I really don't like the first game. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and also check the Wolf Archives channel to check the full playthrough. My name is Jonathan Wolf, and I'm on a quest to prove that I'm good at video games by mastering retro games. And let's begin our first RetroAchievements Mastery Marathon by mastering Spyro the Dragon. Our story begins in the world of dragons, where we catch an interview with the dragons about... Actually, I don't have a clue about the purpose of this interview. However, the interviewer asks about a character named Gnasty Gnorc, who has found a spell that allows him to turn treasure into monsters. In response to this, a dragon calls Gnasty Gnorc a simpleton that poses no threat whatsoever to the dragons, and as an insult to injury, they even call him ugly. You gotta remember, this was the 90s, so calling someone ugly had the same impact as killing their dog. Which, now that I say that out loud, it's basically this generation. Unfortunately, in a very convenient way, Gnasty himself was watching this interview, and as a response, he uses a magic spell to turn all dragons into crystal. Except for one, and that being our protagonist, Spyro. Now, why didn't Gnasty turn Spyro into a crystal? Essentially making him win automatically?
That's a good question.
And so we begin with our adventure as we arrive in the Artisan's World, where we get to know the formula and collectathon loop will do during this game, and to an extension, the trilogy. Unlike Crash, where we have a linear based levels, we now have open sandbox levels where we can collect 2 to 3 types of collectibles. The first one is rescuing dragons, which you can do by approaching a crystallized dragon and standing on its platform in order to release it. And the second collectible is the treasure, which comes in different colors and values and can be found everywhere in the world. We do have a third collectible, but we'll address it when we see said collectible. So for now, let's rescue our first dragon, Nestor, who will instruct us to find 10 dragons throughout the Artisan's Worlds, and then talk to the balloonist, who will take us to a new world and closer to Gnasty Gnorc. Every dragon you rescue will give you a different type of dialogue, whether it's movement or enemy tutorials, some information about the level or world you find yourself at, or they'll just thank you for releasing them. Get used to that quote, by the way. I won't go into what every dragon will say to you, but as you see me getting some treasure while defeating some Gnorcs, this is a perfect time to give the usual advice that if you want to see my extended and full mastery of this game and other games, you can always check my Wolf Archives channel for the full playthroughs of these masteries. So in the Artisan's Hub, we get all 200 gems and rescue Thomas, Argus, and Delbin, where Argus mentions that in order to fight the boss of the Artisan's World, we must first complete a level so that the way to the boss opens up for us. And as for Delbin, he'll talk about our companion Sparks the Dragonfly. As we begin the game, you'll notice this dragonfly following Spyro everywhere. This is Sparks, and he has 2 major utilities in this game. The first one is being your health, as taking damage will make Sparks turn blue, green, and then die. And if you take a hit without Sparks, Spyro will die and you'll lose a life. In order to keep sparks yellow and healthy, you want to kill the fodder wildlife like these sheep in order to get butterflies, which sparks can eat in order to heal up. And the second use Sparks has is that he will gather treasure near you, which sadly, losing Sparks will prevent us from being lazy, which means that we must do the unbelievable action of getting the gems yourself. I know, having to do the effort, the horror. And by rescuing Delvin, we'll also get 100% of the Artisan's Hub, which will give us our first achievement of the set. And as you explore the hub, you will come across some gates that will take you to the different levels this game has to offer. And with the hub fully completed, we can head into the first proper stage of the game, Stone Hill. You can tackle any stage in any order, but no matter what stage you do first, you will have to 100% complete all stages in order to master this game. So I'll go into the order that I completed the stages during this mastery. So heading into Stone Hill, we have our first open level, as we have a bottom and top section that allows vast exploration of the world as we get to hear the fantastical soundtrack composed by one of my absolute favorite drummers, Stuart Copeland.
They pay me for this.
And you bet your ass I'll keep bringing up the OSTs in these videos because the Spyro soundtracks are a marvel to listen. I will say that this is by far the weakest of the Trilogy soundtrack. With that being said, if I was rating this soundtrack, it gets an 8 out of 10. So it's the weakest, but it's not a bad soundtrack. So in Stone Hill, we have two new mechanics that you may come across in certain worlds. The first are these chests that require us to find a key, which is hidden in the level in order to open them, giving you a plethora of gems. And the second new feature are these blue-robed shadow demons. I mean, if you don't believe me, just look at that soul-eating face, which are going to run away when they see you. These are egg thieves, and they have stolen our third type of collectible, dragon eggs, where we must chase them down by charging into them or burning their butt in order to retrieve the egg from their blue shadowy hands. And by defeating the thief and rescuing our first unborn brother, cousin, I don't know, we will get our next achievement, but also start practicing with these thieves when we get to Spyro 3. But besides that, we gather more gems and rescue more dragons, like Lindar, who mentions that by rescuing a dragon or stepping on their platforms, you will not only get a checkpoint on the stage, but you can also save your game by talking to the fairy after rescuing a dragon. And when we rescue Astor, he will mention this portal that will take you back to the hub world once you're done exploring the world. Even though you can do the same action through the pause menu with the weird quirk that start also confirms the action, causing me to leave the world early. Thanks for that, early PS1 controller stuff. But with new knowledge acquired, we get the rest of the collectibles in Stone Hill and get our 100% achievement for this world. Our next stage is Stone Hill, which now has a more dark ambience but a much nicer music track that makes me want to re-listen to this fantastic OST. In this world, we learn about big enemies and metal-coated enemies, where the former requires the use of flames because of their thick mass, and the latter requires a charge since metal will block flames. That said, in certain stages we'll find big enemies covered in metal, like this big Nork that requires a different approach in order to defeat him. But besides those three aspects, we have another locked chest, and in this level we rescue our 10th dragon, giving us access to the next world of the game, but also an achievement for our good exploration skills, which eventually will lead to the 100% completion of this stage. So every time we head back to Artisans, when we defeat the Norks running around the hub, they will drop a crystal orb instead of gems. These orbs do absolutely nothing, but if you manage to get 20 of them, you'll get an extra life. Extra lives can be acquired in 3 different ways. By breaking these purple egg containers that will grant you a Spyro statue, have an enemy drop a statue instead of an orb, which is extremely rare and didn't know it was a thing until this very mastery, so how convenient. And finally, we have the 20 orbs, which can be done by defeating enemies after collecting the gem they drop once you defeat them the first time. And by getting 20 crystal orbs for the first time, we'll get an achievement for being a proper dragon and getting rid of the pests infecting the hub. But now we head into the final normal stage of Artisans, Town Square. And for this stage, we start using our glide move more often, like reaching the second portion of the stage, which includes a dragon that really needs to drop the smokes.
Run! Run! I'm getting a little winded.
Just saying. Although he does mention a thief wandering about this level. And in order to reach him, we must do a sort of tricky glide around this wall in order to reach the top section of the level. And once we make it, we can get the thief and get 100% in this level by getting the remaining gems and rescuing Thor, which will grant us with the second best dialogue in the whole game.
Thank you for releasing me.
Now before we also reach 10 lives through this level, getting us another achievement. So with all the normal worlds done in Artisans, we now move on to the boss stage. However, before we face face the boss, we go into this waterfall area and step in all 5 stones in order to open a secret passage to a secret level, as well as our next achievement. And here we have our first flight or speedway level, Sunny Flight, where the main objective is to destroy or collect 4 different targets before the time runs out. Every time you get a target, you'll get extra seconds to the timer depending on the target. And if you manage to get all targets without crashing in the water, you'll get all gems and reach 100% completion. That said, for every flight level, we have a target time we must beat for an achievement. And for this level, our target time is 1 minute and 40 seconds. These target times can be conquered as long as you establish a route and what targets to focus first. And for this level, my route was chests, gates, taking a break to get all the planes, get the remainder of the gates, and then focus on the barrels, with the hardest section being the planes because of their random position. But with some good position and a tiny little bit of luck, you'll get this one in no time, even though I managed to barely get this one. Okay, I think I did way better that time. Alright, now let's go counterclockwise, or let's go against the train so that we can intercept them. Because yeah, when it comes to targets that go on a predetermined path, oh god. Oh! Oh my god. 1 minute and 40 exactly. So now we head to the boss of the Artisan's World, Toasty. And for this stage, we have our first challenge achievement, where we must reach and defeat the boss without waking up any of the sleeping wolves. This achievement may sound iffy, but the wolves' aggro range is incredibly generous, which will allow you to skip every enemy of the level, except for Gandalf and his buddies, since their cane swing has quite the reach. But once we reach the boss, we now must find a way to attack him without disturbing the wolves in the middle. And yeah, basically just run around in circles. And when you get close to him, just flame him. And now we're gonna do it again, but this time we got 2 wolves. And as you can see, Toasty, he was nothing but a black sheep. Kinda literally, you know. Okay, now I don't know. Now I don't know how close you need to get to the wolves before they wake up, but yeah, try to not get too near them. So with Toasty dead, we now go and clean up the rest of the level, which means dealing with the wolves. These wolves are incredibly aggressive, and you have to flame them twice in order to kill them, which in the worst case scenario means that they're going to hit you no matter what. That being said, if you do struggle with these wolves, you can actually press the L1 and R1 button to do a roll move, which is only in this game and this game only. But with a inevitable death, because even I struggle with these wolves sometimes, if you manage to kill all the animals, we can make it to the end and get 100% in Toasty and fully 100% every single stage in the Artisan's World. And that does it for every stage in World 1. So now we talk to Marco the Balloonist and head into the Peacekeeper's World, where we have more dragons, more treasure, and more eggs to recover. And now that I covered the first world of the game, now we can just speed through the rest of the game, since truthfully told, outside of different level designs and cool level gimmicks, every level has essentially the same formula. Rescue dragons and collect treasure, with the occasional thief if the level has one. And something I learned with this mastery is that every world except for the final one has 4 exploration levels, a flight stage, and a boss. So what I'm gonna do from this point is mention the interesting gimmicks in every level if they have one, and address the more difficult parts of every level. And if the level itself has an achievement, I will mention it and give priority to it. So starting with the Peacekeeper's hub, we now have danger in said hub, as we have these Norks trying to blast us with some cannons and even their most deadly weapon, their big yellow ass. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not gonna say it. That said, we can use their cannons against them, but more importantly, we can destroy these metal reinforced chests, as well as this rock with a very obvious and not suspicious target, giving us access to the flight stage. And as we get the dragons and the thief in this hub, we get 100% in this stage by opening the chest with the key, which will also put our treasure total to 1200, giving us access to World 3, as well as another achievement. For our first proper level of Peacekeepers, we have Dry Cannon, and this level is basically basically a more difficult version of Town Square, as we must use our glide move in order to reach more difficult areas, including this dragon that holds the key to the chest and this platform where the key is needed. But besides that, we have another egg thief and dragons trying to emphasize that we are the chosen one, whatever the hell that means. Our next level is Cliff Town, and this level is divided into two sections. We have the town itself and the Lone Valley overview in the town. Once you get access to the valley, you can now glide to the top buildings of the first town and light up some fireworks that will destroy some reinforced crates, and even go behind the starting building to get some extra gems. But besides the thief that can get tricky because of Spyro's weird drift he has when charging, don't forget to fire the cauldrons for easy to miss gems and you'll 100% this stage, alongside our 5th dragon egg, which will unlock access to World 4, giving you another achievement. Our final stage for Peacekeepers is the Ice Cavern, and starting off, we got on this ledge and glide to this platform containing 3 lives, but also our next Secrets achievement. And once we reach this awesome secret, we work our way backwards through the level, which involves charging into these poles with gems on top that are placed a little too close to the abyss. But besides that, we push the armored narc into the abyss and do some gliding for gems, keys, while listening to more Copeland goodness. Seriously, if you've never heard these soundtracks, go and listen to them. So with all 3 levels done, we now move on to the flight level. And since every flight level works the exact same, I'm only going to focus on the route I did for the target time achievement. The target for this one is 1 minute and 15 seconds. And compared to the first flight level, this one is very easy, as we now have a more linear path with the targets with no isolated area like the chests from the previous one. My order was rings, chests, gates, and lighthouses, and as long as you don't deviate like I did when getting these chests, you'll get this one incredibly easy and without problems.
I should not have done that.
Oh wow, we did it. All right, so yeah, that was not that bad. I did fumble a little bit, but yeah, this was really easy. So now we move on to the next boss, Dr. Shem. And here we have our first damageless achievement, where you must reach the end portal without getting hit throughout the entire level and the boss. I would recommend you focus on the 100% completion before doing the damageless run, but as for the level, we have similar traps from Cliff Town, as we have these big Nork ladies send their kamikaze sons at Spyro. And as for the platforming, we have this purple gem on this rock, as well as another key we must collect. And as for the boss itself, just like Toasty, he dies in 3 hits. But unlike Toasty, he will attack you, so you must be on your guard. But because I took damage during the first part of the fight, I decided to get rid of the dock and get 100% on the level just so that I can give my full attention to the damageless achievement. And speaking of damageless run, for the section before the boss, you can speed through all enemies as the Nork ladies will push you and not deal damage. And as for the doctor himself, lure his first attack by leaving the platform, and as he moves back, attack him from behind. For the second hit, you just want to wait for him to moon you, and for the last hit, jump over his scepter and burn him one last time to get this very easy damageless achievement, ending the Peacekeepers world and moving on to the next world, Magic Crafters. So from this point, we will start getting more creative with the level gimmicks. As for this world, features these druids that will change the environment in order to trick you and defeat you, like raising walls and impede your progress. But with clever uses of these gem containers that will gladly aid you on your quest to kill every monster in the Dragon Realms, in this world we also have the introduction of our first ability for Spyro, the Supercharge. Even though technically the flight levels have what is known as a Superfly, but those are gimmick levels, so it doesn't count. By charging alongside these arrows, you'll activate Supercharge, which will make you run faster, allowing you to get past this druid, but it will also allow you to destroy enemies and reinforced crates. But it will also allow you to reach new locations by leaping from a ledge, which is something we'll see later in this same world. And besides the thief, we also have a very seductive gate, and we can get 100% on the level so that we can move on to our first stage. So for Alpine Ridge, similar to the hub, we have these green druids that will try to block you from reaching the end and secret areas like the beginning section where we must climb these steps and cross this closing wall at the perfect time, even though I can cut it very close sometimes. Alright. Oh my god, what the hell? I should have died there. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh,
Thank you for releasing me.
But besides that, we have these huge Dark Souls type demons and a thief that escapes through a lengthy course, as well as one of the hardest jumps in the game, as we need to light the fuse and make it to the next platform before we get blown up. And the gliding of this game is not that very good, especially since Spyro doesn't have the hover he will later have starting with the next game, and also the recovery hover he has in the reignited version. But with enough precision, we'll 100% another world in this game, even though the platforming in this game can be very treacherous in the worst cases. For high caves, we have more of the same, but this time we now have fun with supercharging, as we have this cave system with these armored spiders that must be charged in order to kill them and collect their gems. We do have sections where we must supercharge leap in order to reach them and to help with our supercharging practice. In this section, we have these fairies that will take us to safety if we fall into the abyss, if we miss a jump, or just want to go back to the start. That said, even with the supercharge, we have a section of the cave system with spiders that we can't reach while charging due to Spyro's very bad charge jump. But thankfully, once we reach the end of the cave, we'll find a fire fairy, which will give us a kiss, granting us the power of the super flame, which will allow you to destroy any object or enemy covered in metal as long as you're still fired up, since this flame is timed. So as soon as you get the gift of fire, go to the caves and incinerate these spiders, and get an achievement for killing all spiders in one visit, which I have no idea why this is an achievement, but I guess it will help for the 100% completion of this level, I guess. Our last stage is Wizard Peak, and the beginning section of the stage requires you to explore the outside of the castle and get into the secret areas for these ice wizards. But once we clear out the beginning part, we now have our first supercharged test. The previous level was the tutorial on supercharged jumps, and now we must try to see how far we can go on these leaps. So the way supercharging works in this game is the more you keep the charge, the faster and farther you'll go after a leap. And we need to build up speed in order to make it to these two faraway platforms in order to reach 100%, which includes the last 2 dragon eggs of the game, giving us another achievement after capturing the slowest thief in existence. And also this guy, who's just chilling and laughing at us. Asshole. And besides these jumps, we also have this dragon at the end where he will actually tell you about the secret flight level in the Artisan's world, which if you didn't unlock it or knew about it at this point, now you will know why you didn't do a flight level in the Artisan's world. And speaking of flight levels, up next we have Crystal Flight, where we have the target time of 1 minute and 15 seconds. And this one can be tricky, mainly because the pathing for this one is very linear, but surprisingly enough, if you just focus on the rings, gates, planes, and chests in that order, by cutting corners, you'll make it in time. Granted, you'll barely make it, but you'll make it either way, so that's the thought that counts. So now we have our next boss, Blowhard, where we have the challenge of beating the best board in Mario Party 3 in less than 30 seconds. On a first run of the level, this achievement is actually impossible to get. So for now, let's worry about the 100% completion, which is incredibly easy since this level is ultra linear. And as for Blowhard himself, wait for him to lower after an attack and burn this Twister Mage and you'll defeat the easiest boss of the game, as well as reach 100%. And as for the 30-second timer, fuck you too, asshole. There you go. So with Blowhard dead, we now move into the Beastmaker's world. And, you know, when I hear Beastmakers, I expect a factory of some kind, but somehow in the world of Spyro, it translates to a damn swamp. And here we have these Norks that will electrify the floor, where we just need to time ourselves before moving for the kill. Besides that, we struggle to return with a key, because the gliding in this game is not very good, and also get jump scared by Pumbaa. And we get to 100% this hub by hearing one of the best dialogues in Spyro 1, thanks to the man Cletus.
Spyro, it's great to see you, but I've got to go.
The fact that they kept this line of dialogue intact for the Reignited Trilogy makes it even more special. Starting off, we have Terrace Village, and here we have another damageless run. And just like Dr. Shemp, I decided to get 100% before doing the damageless run. As for the level itself, we have more electrified floors and electric Norks that have a very wide hitbox for their electric shock. But besides that, we backtrack for more fireworks in order to get the last gems and dragons, which does include our 50th dragon, which will give us an achievement but also unlock World 5, as well as reaching 6,000 treasure, which will unlock World 6, as well as the final world of the game. So if I want, I can just go to Nasty's world and just beat the game. But because I don't rush myself to the end, we just get the 100% completion and now work for the damageless achievement. The hardest part about this challenge are the big guys, since their electric attack has a very long range. But as long as you play keep away with them and focus on the Norks that electrify the ground, this damageless achievement is really not that bad. So yeah, just stay away from the big guys and you'll make it fine. Easy. Okay, I thought I didn't get it. All right. Up next, we have Misty Bog, and I would say this is the first hard level, as we have these devil plants that will charge at you and eat you, but they don't come near to what is the most annoying enemy of the level and possibly the entire game: frogs. These stupid blue toads have an almost instant tongue attack if not taken quickly, which can lead to somewhat cheap damage and also cheap deaths. However, this level also has one of the dumbest achievements of the game, where we must find a way to reach this lonely hut. Now, you may think that I'm just being exaggerated, since I can just tag my way to the hut and I'll just get the achievement, which, by the way, it's exactly 1 point. I usually never complain about points in retro achievements because I don't care, but are you serious? That being said, as an insult to injury, the water near the hut has a death trigger that will actually kill Spyro regardless if he has sparks. There are multiple ways of getting to this hut, but thankfully, I just managed to see a clip on Reddit which gave me the answer to my problems, while trying to glide over the kill trigger and make it no problem. Now, that being said, there is actually a very easy way to do this, and I literally saw this like literally before starting this mastery, about a way you can do this on Reddit. And basically, you want to go over here. You want to go to this point of the level, or this area, and just glide. And as for the rest of the level, watch out for flying pigs and make it to the top of this building in order to find a way back to the beginning for some reason, and gather the last of the gems and get another level 100% done. But now we move on to level 3, Treetops. And here we have what is, without question, my favorite level of the game. And what I would say is the hardest stage of the game to 100%. Mainly because this stage is the ultimate test for the supercharge, as we need to chase these thieves down and reach their secret lairs by doing some insane supercharge leaps. You may think that if you're lucky and fast enough, you can actually burn the thieves before they actually get to their lairs. However, yeah, they are invincible for some reason, and I do not understand why. But if you chase them fast enough, you can even follow the path they take in order to reach the aisles and save your time in figuring out where to go when supercharging in this dangerous level. Even though the path to the yellow thief is definitely the hardest part of the level, just because of the crazy angled jumps, not to mention Spyro's very questionable jumping with the supercharge. Then jump over here, which is... Wait, how do I get over there? I forgot. And yeah, this is where all my deaths are gonna come in. Oh, well. There we go. And then jump. And then glide. And yeah, you want to make sure you glide, otherwise you're not gonna you're gonna lose height and you're gonna just die. Oh wait. What are you doing there? Well, let's see if I can get you. Oh my god, he's invincible. Let me follow you. Yeah, say it like that. You want to follow them. And jump. You fool! You led me to your secret hideout. Bonk. Idiot. Idiot, stupid. And there you go. See, that wasn't so bad. So now we move on to what I would consider to be the hardest flight level, Wild Flight. And the target for this one is 1 minute and 10 seconds. And this one can be tricky, especially when you try to multitask several targets. However, my successful attempt was a combination of planes and chests, and once I got both of them, I combined boats and gates. Although this trio of boats at the beginning can be very annoying, especially towards the end, since they tend to appear when going through a gate, which, in the worst case scenario, will send you right into the water, causing you to fail the speed run. Oh, you bastard! No! Damn it! Whoa. Oh, why were you not going up? Let's go for that. Oh my god, what? I said I was not gonna go for them, but I go for them anyway. Oh my god. Hey, there we go. Alright, don't fuck this up. Oh my god, what the fuck? Okay. That's all the speedboats. Now we gotta get the gates, which are easy to get. Woo! Nice. Oh my god, what was that? Why was that so hard? The stupid boats, man. That's all what it was. Okay, we did it. So with that done, we now move on to the boss, Metalhead, and what I would say is the best boss fight in the game, which is in a game that has mediocre to bad bosses, but bosses nonetheless, so there's a positive. And similar to Dr. Shem, we have a damages achievement. And similar to Dr. Shem, you can work on getting damages and 100% completion separately. For the beginning area, we want to head down through this fence in order to get the key for the chest. And as we clear the enemies, which include metal variants of the small guys from treetops, which as long as you kill them quickly or dodge their banana throws, they're really not that bad, we reach the boss and begin the real challenge. Metalhead has 3 attacks. He will throw his minions at you, shoot a lobbed sonic attack, and shoot some electric sparks. The objective for this boss is to destroy all energy antennas powering up the boss. You can have Metalhead destroy the antennas himself, but you can actually charge into them safely when they glow green and destroy them yourself. And once you get him one time, you gotta repeat the process a second time, which is literally the exact same. And once you destroy the antennas the second time, he'll dive cringe and perform what is by far the hardest jump in this entire game. Jesus Christ, Insomniac, what the hell were you thinking? Why is this jump so precise? And get 100% and finish our business in Beastmakers. So here we have the final normal world of the game, Dreamweavers. As the next world is the end, but it's more of an endurance test instead of the traditional 3 stages, a flight stage, and a boss stage. Now, something very cool about this world is that every level has a different gimmick, which honestly makes it my favorite world overall. For the hub, we have this cannon that will grow or shrink specific enemies, where you must be careful around the metal enemies as you can charge them into them when big. Which, for these 2 big metal guys, what you want to do is make it to the cannon and use it yourself in order to change the size of the bodyguards. And besides the magic cannon, we also have these fools that when struck, they will activate a platform allowing you to get more gems and dragons in the process. And as we clear out the hub, we'll get an achievement for gliding for more than 5 seconds and landing afterwards, which, yeah, I was actually planning on getting it on an actual level in this world, but I got it by complete accident, or actually by playing the level normally, so thanks for that, Dreamweavers. And speaking of the levels, our first stage is Haunted Towers, where we have the return of the Super Flame Fairies, where we must use the powerful kisses in order to destroy these reanimated armor pieces. However, I don't want to go back and forward for these fairies all the time. So let's do something a little bit more fun. So yeah, I'm very quickly going to go over here. And with this supercharge ability, we want to break this door. Oh god. We want to go, and then jump over here, and then jump, and then glide to this point.
You've become a master of the supercharge. Great work.
How do you know I supercharged over here? Who told you? Alright. Alright, and here we got a time section, because now we gotta make it to the top of these stairs before all guards get resurrected. Or before all armors get resurrected. And there we go. And by getting into this point, we'll have this fairy. And this fairy will give us... And this fairy is actually very important, because she will now give us infinite super fire. Or super flame. And yeah, basically with the super flame, we can just go through the entire level and just clear out everything. So yeah, you don't need to do timed runs anymore. So with an infinite super flame, we destroy all armor PCs, including the dead ones, since they will also drop gems, and you'll manage to 100% what I would say is one of the easiest levels of the game if you decide to focus on the infinite super flame first. Up next, we have Dark Passage, and here we have the return of the fools from the hub. But here they work differently, as they will carry a light that when it's turned off, will make these adorable creatures turn into spawns from hell. And by attacking the fools, the light will be kept on until the fool gets back up, allowing you to defeat the adorable versions of the enemies. You can flame the demon dogs, but for the turtles, you have no choice but turn them small because of their metal armor. And once we reach the end, we take a detour to this ledge and explore an isolated area of the passage and get our 69th dragon, alongside the last gems, including this firework that will give us our final collectibles for the level. But now we move on to the final stage of the world, Lofty Castle, and this level has probably one of my favorite gimmicks in the world, as we need to rescue 3 fairies so that they can create a whirlwind, giving us access to more of the stage. We do have this section with the key where we must supercharge to this ledge that can be very tricky because of Spyro's glide, but besides that, the rest of the level is very easy, which is very odd considering that this is the world before the finale, so yeah, this should have been like the second world or something. But now we move on into the final flight level of the game, Icy Flight. And the target for this one is 1:10. And compared to the previous flight, this one is more straightforward. My path was lighthouses and chests, and once I got both of them, I focused on the barrels while clearing out the copters as I entered the different rooms by following the train tracks. That could have gone better. Oh, we got it. Nice! There we go. Easy peasy. There you go. Yeah, this was not hard. But now we move on to the boss of the Dreamweaver's world, Jacques. And here we have the biggest boss stage of the game, and what I would say is my new hardest stage, mainly because some jumps look like you can make it, but you can't. Unless you do them from the other side, because fuck you. This level is also the only boss stage that features 2 dragons, but besides that, the platforming can be very tricky due to the lack of a hover, but if you manage to pull every jump off, we make it to the boss himself. And after we rescue the second dragon, we now begin with the boss achievement, where we must defeat Jacques without breathing fire more than 3 times after rescuing the second dragon. Alright, so that's 1. That's 2. And yeah, basically what you want to do is you want to flame him when he gets on these boxes. Because, you know, Jacques, and he has a spring. He's supposed to be a Jacques in the box. That's the joke, everyone. Please laugh. Alright. Ow. Well, I got you, whatever. And that's not it? Oh, okay. There we go. And there it is. So with Jacques dead, we now move on to the final world of the game, Nasty's World. out. Starting with Nork Nexus, the gimmick for this hub is that we must complete every level in order to unlock the next stage, similar to how we unlocked Toasty back in Artisans. And because we must open these dragon mouths as we beat these levels, we cannot get 100% in the hub until we defeat the Nork himself. Since gems are located inside the dragon heads, and you're not going to be able to rescue the final dragon until you beat Nasty Nork. And speaking of the dragons, for some reason, every dragon we rescue in this world will be a previous dragon we rescued. I guess Insomniac ran out of names. Starting out, we have the easiest of the Nexus levels, Nork Cove, as we must charge the metal barrels back to the Norks and have them taste their own medicine. And as for the 100% completion, make sure you aim the barrels at the reinforced crates and don't try to chance your way through pits, because the last thing we want is to have Spyro die right before the end. Out of the butthole it emerges. Thank you for killing both of them. Oh no, wait, there are 3 directions. Oh my god, I'm stupid. Oh my god, I'm stupid. Also, empty hallway. Okay, cool. But with the easy stuff done, we now move on to the hard stuff as we go into Twilight Harbor. And here we have what many consider to be one of the hardest levels of the game if you're trying to beat it. Not 100%. Beat it. And for this level, we have our final damageless achievement of the set. This one is without question the hardest of the damageless achievements, but as long as you study the enemy pattern and attack at the right time, this one is not that bad. That said, the most difficult thing about this level are the grenade Norks, since the hitbox of the grenade explosion is very iffy and the almost instantaneous throw of the grenade can catch you off guard and give you some cheap damage. Now the beginning section is definitely the easiest part as the Norks are easy to dodge, but once we free Cletus again, we flip this switch and raise the bridge in order to supercharge leap at the top of this hut in order to get a secret life that will net us the last secret hunting achievement. Oh, and also break this crate. And as for the end, which is by far the hardest section of the level, time yourself with the grenades and target the small Norks first, since the red beret Norks are incredibly easy to dodge because they have a consistent pattern. And by taking your time, we'll reach the end of the stage without a scratch and with the 100% completion achievement as a bonus. So with that stage done, we now move to the final battle against Nasty Nork in our first time meeting face to face. No cutscene, no dialogue, nothing. So much for this guy being the ultimate enemy. For this final fight, we have the double challenge of beating this Nork damageless in just 1 minute and 55 seconds. Similar to Blowhard, I focused on getting 100%, but once I reached a certain point of the fight, I decided to back off and reset the level in order to get a triple unlock. Nasty's fight is split into 3 sections. For section 1, we must chase 2 thieves that will grant you keys, allowing you to get to the next thief and then Nasty. For section 2, we must chase Nasty and flame him once before he leaves this platform and forces you to chase him again. And once you hit him, we get section 3, where we must platform our way through these retracting platforms and make it to the end and deliver the final hit against the Nork. Section 1 is definitely the hardest one to speedrun, as the thieves can slide away from you from your flames, making you fail the speedrun instantaneously, as you must get them on the first cycle. And phase 2 can be also hard because you must be fast enough to get to Nasty before he leaves the platform. But besides that, this fight is very simple with no threats whatsoever, since unless you stand completely still, Nasty will never hit you, making the damages part of the challenge a complete joke. Okay, never mind, we were good. Alright, and here we got the final part, where you just have to be quick on these platforms that retract. And yeah, if you did the first section of the fight flawlessly, this part is really easy. And yeah, right here's the end. And that's it. Very easy. Incredibly easy. But with Nasty Nork defeated, we return to the interview and finish things off with them. However, Spyro does mention that there are still more treasure and dragons to be rescued, which means that even though the Nork is defeated, the adventure still continues. So once we watch the cool credits, we return to Nork Nexus and rescue the final dragon of the game, giving us not only 100% in Nork Nexus, but also getting another completion achievement for our careful exploration. And this dragon in particular mentions that behind the third dragon mouth lies Nasty's treasure room. But in order to enter it, we must collect every treasure, every dragon egg, and every dragon, which means that in order to access the true final level, we must reach 100% completion. I got it. So here we enter the final stage of the game, Nasty's Loot, and this level has a very cool gimmick. For this stage, we have the power of super flight. However, you may notice that we can't go that high as we begin the level, and that's because as we climb up on the level, we will increase our max flight height, giving us access to more areas of the stage. And in order to get higher, we must chase down some thieves that will give us keys that will open these doors, increasing our max height. We also have thieves in planes, which are more mobile and more tricky to reach, but as long as you don't bump into anything and cut corners, you'll strike them down and reach the highest point of the level, giving you access to Nasty's room, getting the last remaining gems, putting you at 120% completion, giving us a full mastery of Spyro the Dragon. Not before getting teased that Nasty is striking again, even though we'll not see him until the 5th game. So much for that, I guess. In terms of quality, I'll give this game an 8 out of 10. I like how we have certain levels with challenge achievements, even though 4 of them are just damages achievements. If we had an achievement for every level, like how it is in the Reignited Trilogy, then I could probably give this a 10 in the best case scenario. But with the damages challenges, flight speed runs, and secret areas, an 8 is more than enough. Which, sadly, from what I remember from the other 2 games, this is probably the highest score I'll give to the trilogy when it comes to quality. In terms of difficulty, I'll give this game a 5 out of 10. Out of the Spyro trilogy, this is the easiest game of the 3. And as for the set itself, if you take your time for the damages achievements and figure out a route for the flight levels, this set is really not that bad, with the only achievements that can cause trouble being the Misty Bog Hut and some damages levels like Twilight Harbor or Metalhead. And as for fun, I will admit that for being my least favorite game of the trilogy, revisiting this game was still a blast and did remind me as to why I prefer Spyro over Crash. That said, I'll give the fun an 8 out of 10, just because this is still the first game, which sadly does have some first game syndrome that would later get fixed with the sequels. And as for the hardest achievement, because of the wonky grenade hitbox and the scary timing towards the end, I'll give Dragonpocalypse Now for beating Twilight Harbor damageless the award for the hardest achievement of the set. Now before we conclude this video, we also have the Japanese version of Spyro 1, which features 49 achievements to grab. However, even though we have another version of the game, the achievement set is incredibly underwhelming. And that is because out of the 49 achievements, only 2 of them are exclusive achievements to the Japanese set, and both can be achieved within the first minutes of the game. The first achievement requires you to read these signs by accidentally burning them, making them spill their words and give you the achievement. And as for the second achievement, I will admit that the Japanese version of Spyro 1 is an actual marvel to me, as this game does control the same way as the American version, but with one tiny little change that can essentially make or break a video game for me: the camera. Alright, and oh my god, why is the camera not moving alongside Spyro? It's almost like a still camera. It's like, who's controlling this camera? Lakitu? Yes, game, I am really sad that I cannot move the camera. Oh my god. So, right off the bat, we're gonna... Oh god. Oh my god, I was not paying attention. Old axe armors, and... Oh no, I died because of my stupidity. So, that it's basically like a double-edged sword. I'm gonna die. Yep, I'm dead. You know what, I want to kill you with... Oh no! Well, this is gonna suck. Yep. Like I said, Treetops is gonna suck because of the camera. Oh my god! Oh my god. Camera, what is this? What are you doing? Why are you being stupid? I have to say that after mastering this game, I will never insult the Mario 64 camera for as long as I live. Okay, that is an exaggeration because the 64 camera is really bad, but I'll not be too harsh to it after mastering this. Now, as for the set itself, I'll give this game a 5 in quality, a 6 in difficulty, and a 6 in fun. This version is an overall worse Spyro 1 with a god-awful camera that makes the camera from Mario 64 a complete masterpiece. And as for the set, even though we have 2 3 exclusive achievements, you can get 2 of them in the first 5 minutes, and the other one is just get all the treasure, which is pretty lame. To the point that if I was giving decimals instead of full numbers, this set would be a 5.4 in terms of quality. And as for the hardest achievement, I don't know, man. Silent Fog for 100% completion, Misty Bog, because camera and the frogs. I guess, I really have no idea. This set was stupid easy. So like I said in the fun section of the American version, Spyro 1 is my least favorite of the trilogy. However, after remastering it for the channel, I did enjoy it more than the last time, and even though it's my least favorite, I do give this game a 7 in terms of the game quality, which means that it's not a bad game, but it's not the best for me. And considering that this was the game that essentially saved Insomniac from bankruptcy after commercial flops like Disruptor, I'll give credit to this game, especially since I would rather play this game over Crash 3 any day. Although if I'm ever revisiting this game, it's through the Reignited version. Big thanks to American Slacker and Chalky Milk for the American set, and American Slacker for the Japanese set. And now that we're starting with my preferred PS1 platforming series, I wonder how Spyro 2 is going to hold up, since Spyro 3 is already my absolute favorite game in the series, and I do remember some rough things about Spyro 2. And also, I wonder if we're ever going to get a new game of this franchise, since after the Reignited trilogy, we haven't seen or gotten any new games, unlike Crash with It's About Time. Oh well, I guess we can go back to the Coke machine and pray that Activision gets off the Call of Duty horse and actually starts giving a damn about their other IPs. I have never been so happy to be wrong in my entire life. Thanks for watching this RetroAchievements Mastery video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, and if you want to see more RetroAchievement Masteries from yours truly, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified on future masteries. Like I said in the outro of the God of War video and the intro of this video alongside the next 2 will be dedicated to the Spyro Trilogy, which means that for the next 2 games, we're mastering Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage and Spyro Year of the Dragon, both on the PlayStation 1, in what will be a Spyro the Dragon marathon, in a way very similar to my Tomb Raider marathon I did last year back when I was doing Let's Plays. Mainly because of the fact that I want to keep the marathon mentality when it comes to keeping things from the old days, as I would put it. And yeah, considering that I haven't played the trilogy in literally 4 years, I'm actually really curious as to how Spyro 2 will hold up, since I do remember a lot of things from Spyro 2 that I really do enjoy, but also really hate. And as for Spyro 3, I mean, I'm not scared because I know that game like the back of my hand, and I'm very excited to return to some of my favorite levels in the entirety of the Spyro trilogy. And honestly, one of my absolute favorite games on the PlayStation 1, if I'm being completely honest. I love Spyro Year of the Dragon so much that I will make that game justice by not dying. Except that it's most likely gonna happen, but whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. I'm Jonathan Wolf, and I will see you all in my next Retro Achievement Mastery. Later, Retro Achievers, and take it easy.